here on the Patrick Netherton Show. We're pleased to welcome in the head man up in Fayetteville, the head hog himself. Chad Morris, the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, joins us now. Coach, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really good, coming off a good win and an opportunity to come into this week and prepare off of a win and get ready to take on San Jose State.
Yeah, it's been a big week and will be a big week, and obviously we'll get into that. But I want to go back just a little bit because being the coach, and I was telling you off the air, I graduated from Ouachita Baptist in Arkansas, so I know the fervor with which Arkansans love the University of Arkansas. And I'm curious if any of it surprised you when you got there, because you've been at some universities that have other big universities surrounding them. Clemson has South Carolina, SMU has all the schools in Dallas and Texas, but Arkansas's the deal in Arkansas. Has any of that surprised you in terms of the fervor that goes along with being the head coach up there?
Well, I knew that there was a great passion level for the Hogs, having grown up in Texas and watching Arkansas through the course of growing up and when they were in the Southwest Conference. I knew that there was a passion level. But when you get here and you get on the inside, you realize, yes, there's a passion level, but it's at a whole nother level. And it's great to see. I mean, our fans are incredible. They love the Hogs, and you got to just respect that about them.
How long did it take you to get Woo Pig Suey down?
Not very long at all. I wasn't going to mess that up. That was not going to be something I was going to mess up. Matter of fact, I had to YouTube how to call the Hogs before I did my press conference. So not just me, but my whole family. So it was great. And again, just love the support and as we're building this program. That's
a thing I've always been curious about is new coaches that come in, especially those that aren't necessarily from in-state. Does an SID pull you aside into a room and like, all right, coach, we're going to teach you how to call the Hogs real quick? I love you learned it from a YouTube video. That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, they actually do. Matter of fact, when we got out of the car to go in to do the press conference, they pulled us all into a side room and to go back through calling the Hogs the right way with us. So they were definitely making sure I was schooled up and wasn't going to miss this opportunity for my first appearance.
No, you got to make a good first impression, Coach. All right, so the big question right now for your team seems to be at the quarterback position in terms of you have a couple of guys that transferred in, one that was with you at SMU, one that came in from A&M. Tell me about what's gone on in that decision-making process of deciding which one to start, switching last week. What's that been like trying to figure out which of these guys is the right guy?
Well, we knew, having recruited Ben out of high school, he played for us for 3 years at SMU and did a fantastic job. We knew his knowledge of the offense was going to put him in pole position, so to speak, to become our starter. But we also knew that, had Connor Nolan had a really good baseball season, which he did, that we would lose another quarterback. And so we were in the transfer market. We picked up Nick Starkle from A&M, and I knew him coming out of high school and the arm talent that he has. But the only thing, coming out of fall camp, I thought Nick made tremendous strides, but still wasn't where Ben was as far as knowledge, and you could expect. Ben had been in the offense 3 years. Nick had been in it 3 weeks. And so, but I knew that Nick was going to get his opportunity at some point. And so we started Ben, and, we won our first game and went to Ole Miss and really struggled offensively in the first half. I mean, we had our opportunities. We just didn't hit them, and we didn't capitalize. It wasn't so much what Ben did or didn't do. It was the fact of what we needed a spark, and I put Nick in the second half, and it was what he did. And to watch him and in that second half of Ole Miss and how he grew as the half went, just led me to believe that, look, we know we're going to have some mistakes as he learns this offense, but we're going to go ahead and make this decision, and it's his, and we're going to move forward.
Talking to Chad Morris, head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Coach, you have an existing relationship with Ben Hicks. You mentioned he comes with you from SMU. Does that make it all the harder to, I don't want to say replace him, because I'm sure you'll need him at some point down the stretch, but does that make that decision to start Starkel even harder because of the existing relationship you had with Hicks?
No, not really. I think the biggest thing is just being the honesty with Ben and just saying, look, you know, just as I did, I said, look, you earned the right to start, and we needed a spark, and now he earns this right. He gets his opportunity now, and Ben, well, he's a competitor. He just, Coach, hopefully I got another opportunity coming. And I said, well, this league is a very tough league. You just need to be prepared if your opportunity hits again. But, you just be honest with the guys, and you know that, every decision that I make, it's what's best for this football team. And, that really was not a tough decision for me. It was more of just making sure I communicated effectively. And as I do each week, I encourage him and just say, man, just make sure you're staying on tune and to the game plan, just in case your opportunity happens this week.
And, of course, when you have a back like Rakeem Boyd, that makes it a little bit easier on those quarterbacks, whether you're transitioning like Starkel is into a new different offense, or Hicks coming into a new program. A guy like Rakeem Boyd is a heck of a security blanket.
Well, he is, and has done a really good job over the first 3 weeks. And I think our ability to throw the football last week on early downs really opened up our run game.
Tell me about the skill guys. What have you seen from them? What are you needing more of? Where are they at in their development on the outside?
Well, we're starting a lot of true freshmen. We started 5 true freshmen last week. 2 of those being wide receivers that both had 90-plus yards receiving. Very talented young men, but again, they're freshmen. You know that there's going to be some mistakes to be made that they may not make as sophomores and juniors and seniors. You have to live with it, and but what we're getting out of them far exceeds the mistakes that they make. But we played 14 other freshmen last week, so we're a young football team, but the future is extremely bright for this team and this program.
Chad Morris, head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. You mentioned a lot of freshmen, Coach, and the right side of your offensive line is pretty inexperienced as well, with a freshman and a sophomore starting. What challenges does that present, especially as you get into the SEC schedule, where you're going to face some teams that have really good defensive fronts and teams that can really get after you, especially in the West, which we know has a ton of those. What challenges does that present in terms of trying to get your offense ready to roll once you get into SEC play?
Well, it presents a lot of challenges. When you bring some young guys in that environment, they have to. It's hard to practice that. You have to learn it, and you have to experience it, and so there's going to be some growing pains along the way. But I think one of the best things that we can do is have the ability to throw the football early and be able to try to open up our run game, be as balanced as we can, will really help our offensive line out.
I want to ask you a philosophical question, Coach, because I've been preaching on the show for the last couple of years, really since you got to Arkansas, Willie Taggart got to Florida State, Chip Kelly got to UCLA, that I believe it's harder to take a pro-style team or a physical, run, ground and pound type offense and turn it into a spread. And I think you're seeing it at UCLA. Obviously, you guys have tried to get through that. Willie Taggart's having that issue at Florida State. Is there any truth to the idea that when you inherit a team that is more of a power-based team, that it can take a little longer to transition, as opposed to the other way, where a guy like Jimbo Fisher goes to Texas A&M, he transitions a spread team into a power team, and there's not as much time lapse in terms of success?
Well, I think I can't speak on behalf of the other programs, just on our behalf
right
here. And one of the things that we felt like we have been deficient in is overall team speed. And so that I could see that, from a different style of offense, you're looking more for the ground out to kind of grind it out a little bit. And so we've had to really adapt and change and try to go recruit and get faster as an entire football team. So I think there may be some validity to that. I know it is from our standpoint. But at the same sense, you're teaching a whole new scheme, different RPOs, and so that it just takes time. And you've got to get the speed out on the edge. So when that ball is put out in a one-on-one situation, because of a loaded box, you got to be able to make some plays with it. And it doesn't make any sense throwing the ball out on the edge and getting a 2-yard gain. So those things, it all works hand in hand.
Chad Morris, head coach of the Razorbacks. Coach, tell me about the defense. Where do you feel like they are right now? Obviously, you've got some playmakers out there, Harris, Agam. You've got some guys that can get after it. Tell me where you feel like you are defensively.
Well, we're creating turnovers. We're scoring on defense. That's been a big plus for us this year. We got to continue to improve. We really responded in the second half last week in our run defense. We felt like that. Again, we're starting a lot of true freshmen on that side of the ball, and playing a lot of freshmen. And so when that happens, you get exploited a little bit. And so, but I thought our guys responded well. We gave up only 26 yards rushing in the second half last week. Played an incredible fourth quarter. And so those are things that as this team goes, as this year goes, we'll continue to get better.
All right, as I peruse your roster and the notes and everything, Coach, I come upon one of your linebackers, and I have to ask, what's the story behind a guy named Bumper Pool?
Well,
I mean, how does one get that name? I mean, that's one of the greatest names I've ever heard in all of football. I need to know, do you know the story behind that name? Or what's this is amazing. I'm not going to lie.
No, I don't know the entire story behind the name, but I know that is one of the greatest names in college football.
Yes.
I can tell you that, and let me tell you, he's a fantastic young man, a great player for us, great family, and we're so excited to have him. And his sister works she's full time for us in our recruiting department, Maddie, and it's a great family, and they are Razorbacks through and through. Let me tell you.
I'm telling you, a name like Bumper Pool that goes a long way for me, Coach. Tell me about the schedule's been sort of odd in that you had a lower division to start with. You got a close win. You play an SEC opponent. That game didn't go your way. Then you got a brilliant fourth quarter against Colorado State, who's sort of a like opponent for you at this point. What have you learned about your team when you've had that schedule that's kind of gone up and down a little bit?
Well, I've learned that our culture of our program is in a different place than what it's been, and it continues to improve. This is a football team that had to make a decision last week, going into the fourth quarter, tied 34-34, of which direction we're going to go, and that decision from the defense to the offense, special teams, was just a testament to our staff, a testament to our players, and just the buy-in and the belief that we have. So I definitely believe that over the first 3 weeks we've had to face some adversity. We've had to respond, and or we could think back and think, well, here we go again. But I thought that coming off the game at Ole Miss in the locker room that Saturday night, you really sensed it and you felt it. And we had a great week of preparation and practice last week. And I just think that our program's definitely moving in the right direction and how we handle adverse situations. And because we're going to have more adversity along the way. And how we deal with it, continue to bounce back and continue to improve is really what this is going to be about.
Head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, Chad Morris. Coach, is there, we in the media love to make a lot about momentum. Oh, the 21-point fourth quarter, it's going to carry over to next week. Is that a media creation, or is that something that's actually palpable that you see where you have such a good fourth quarter? Your team shows up and responds to the adversity. Do you see that carry forward into this week of practice and then hopefully into this Saturday?
Well, I think the way we won the football game definitely has carried over, and carried over all week long. I think that the momentum that was captured in how we won the game and why we won the game and the decisions that had to be made as a team and a leadership standpoint helps add to that momentum and that belief. And so, yeah, I do. I believe that it'll continue to carry over. It'll be something, as a coach, you can talk about it, but until you go and win a game in the fourth quarter, when adversity's hitting you, it's hard to emulate in practice. And so now that we've done it, we're going to build off of it and keep moving forward and be able to reference back to that game and those moments.
Next week, Coach, you have A&M in Arlington. Why is that a big deal to play that in Arlington as opposed to playing it in home sites?
Well, first of all, we got to take care of business this week.
Well, sure.
With a San Jose State team that's much improved coming in here, that's really my main focus. But to be able to go to Dallas and play, it's very much part of our recruiting footprint. And there's so many Razorback alums that are in and live in Dallas, Fort Worth area. And so, I think it's a great representation of where we are in our recruiting in that area.
Finally, Coach, you play in Little Rock. That's always been a thing at War Memorial. There's been some controversy about it. Some of the games that have been played previous to you being there have been losses in Little Rock. There's been a lot of talk of why would you give up a home game and play it in Little Rock, all of that. We have seen in your other sports, baseball specifically, sort of embracing the rest of the state, playing some of the in-state schools. Why is Little Rock important, or is it a game that you wish that you could have in Fayetteville instead?
Well, I think that just the tradition, when you look at Razorback football and the tradition of the games and playing in War Memorial, I know last year was one of the best environments we played in a rain. And so, I think our guys look forward to that opportunity of going down there. And this year it'll be Thanksgiving weekend against Missouri. And our guys will be excited about that opportunity to go to Little Rock and play in that game.
Coach, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Best of luck against San Jose State on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You got it. Chad Morris, the head hog, joining us on the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. Good stuff from him. I love the fact that they took him off into a room and taught him how to call the Hogs before the press conference. Just made sure he knew how to call the Hogs. That is great. That is fantastic stuff. Good stuff from Chad Morris, the head coach of the Arkansas.